Okay, so today I'm going to show you guys how to save externally from DAZ Studio. Why would you want to do that? Well, a lot of people have been having problems saving internally things like poses and materials because it is getting really laggy. For me, it's like 11 to 15 seconds to save one material file. When you're working on the scale that I do for some of my packs with all of the files that they have, I mean, that's absolutely brutal. When you're talking about adding hours of dev time just in saving alone, just in waiting for it to spin through and save, that's like wasted time, and time is money. So, aggravated, I decided to dig into this problem to see if I could fix it. There is no fix, and that's because DAZ Studio is a convoluted piece of software that has a lot of stuff going on internally, and so when you save a file, it's actually adding stuff, database stuff, path stuff. And I surmise, and this is just a theory, that the bigger your library is, the more lag you incur. It's just a theory though, but I don't know for sure. But I did find a workaround. Unfortunately, this workaround is going to be harder for some people than it is me because I'm a code geek. And what does that mean? That means that I hack a lot of my DS code to make it work, to make it easier, just because I can. So when you save something external, what it does is it gives it an absolute path. And that means that it's coding the file to your hard drive instead of relative to DS. So this is just one line of code, and it's really super easy to fix, especially if you know what you're doing. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Before we get started, you're going to back up all of your files that you have in DS, if you have them. I mean, obviously, if you're saving poses, maybe you don't have them already saved. But if you have anything that you're working on, like materials or anything like that, that you want to, back up first. Do it because, just because this is a straightforward video doesn't mean something can't go wrong. Um, sorry for that. I have a lot of snot today. Um, and then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to make an archive on your desktop. What does this archive do? It's basically the same path that you're going to put your poses in. So in my case, I'm working on Genesis 9 because I don't have any poses on my current, and I'm just going to dev on Hex Arcanum because it has a ton of poses and at my disposal, so I'm just going to work on Genesis 9. In this case, you might be working on Genesis 8, and so, of course, this would say Genesis 8 female or male instead. But this is basically going to be the same path that your stuff is in DS. So vendor name, your name would go here, and pack name, the pack name would go here. This is where I'm going to save my working poses to. And I'm going to just leave that open because I'm going to access it in a minute anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and pose this. And if you've just loaded this in, you might have extemporaneous stuff here that you might want to delete. In my case, my poses also control the outfit. As you can see, it's posed. So I'm just going to leave those in the pose. But, you can take whatever you want and delete it. So I'm going to save this as a hierarchical pose. And just of note, this also works on regular poses too, so don't let that deter you. And I'm going to browse to that exact directory that I just made on my desktop. And I'm going to save this one as edit pad pose 1. And then I'm going to make another pose. Let's say that one. And I'm going to save it as another H pose. And I'm going to make this one notepad pose 1. And that's because I'm going to demonstrate how to do this in EditPad Pro, which, costs money. But if you don't want to spend money to use EditPad Pro, you can also use Notepad, which comes with Windows free. Also of note, EditPad does actually have a free version, but it says it's supposed to be commercial free, and of course, you know, this is commercial, so I'm kind of a little bit of a stickler when it comes to stuff like that. Okay, so now that I have my poses saved in my little path here, I'm going to go ahead and open this in EditPad. Now, the only code that this gets changed, saving this externally, is right here. This is the whole path right here. And as you can see, it's pointing at my C drive. Now, if this was a relative path, it would omit this whole entire little portion of code here. So I'm going to select this from this backslash here all the way to the C. And I'm going to leave this backslash right here at the beginning because that needs to be there. I'm going to hit Show Search Panel, and I'm going to leave this part down here blank. Now, also of note, if you have multiple poses, you can load them all in here at once, and you can hit Replace All, and it will replace all of them at once, and then you can hit Save All. But for this, I'm just showing you in one. So let's go ahead and replace this. And as you can see, it puts the path the way that it's supposed to be. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then for Notepad, I'm going to search my computer for Notepad. As you can see, it pops up Best Match Notepad app. I'm just going to click that and drag and drop this here. And you can see that it has that same absolute path here. So we're going to go ahead and select that same portion, leaving that backslash, and we're going to go to Replace. Find what, and it's going to automatically give you your selection in this field. And then you're going to leave Replace with blank and hit Replace All. And as you can see, it has fixed it. Save it. And now I'm going to plop these in DAZ Studio. I already have done this video a couple times, which is why I already have these in here, but I'm going to plop those two that I just edited in here. And you can see that these work now. So the next little tidbit that you would have to do is go to Content Database Editor. And what this is going to do is when I select these, I'm going to re-add the file type. So preset, pose, hierarchical. In your case, it might just be a regular pose, in which case you would just pick pose. But for me, it's hierarchical, so I'm going to hit that and accept, and as you can see, it adds the file type back in. Now, of note, if you're a DAZ vendor, you don't have to go any further with this because DAZ already changes the database stuff on its own. They have their testers do it, and they're real picky about that stuff, so they tell vendors not to touch it, or even if they did touch it, they change it anyway, so it's a waste of time. If you're not a DAZ vendor and you use database stuff to better use smart content and so forth, you can actually go through and add this stuff back in. Compatibility, like what it's compatible with, and so forth, like Genesis and so on. But like I said, if you're a DAZ vendor, you don't really have to go that far because they're going to change it anyway, and it's not really necessary. So I do actually go as far as adding the file type back in because just because, you know, that's just one thing that they don't have to do later on. So but yeah, so you know, this is so much faster, especially since you can edit all of your files en masse and replace all at once and then save them all at once. And then you just plop them in here and you just select them and fix the database file type, and that's it. And that is so much faster than adding 2 hours of dev time just in saving. I mean, this will take you 5 seconds once you get the hang of it and once you realize what you're doing. Because, yeah, and the first time of anything is, you know, confusing and hard and you don't get it. But once you, you know, do it a couple times, you'll be like, this is nothing. And boom, boom, boom. And it's much faster. So hope that helped. And I'll see you guys next time.